When I was about 22 years old and still in dental school, I had a good friend who was a keen rock climber. Dave would often ask me to come with him to the Grampians and climb, but I was always nervous and afraid because of my fear of heights. One Friday afternoon, when we had finished our clinical rounds, he eventually convinced me to join him at one of Melbourne's indoor rock climbing centres. So Dave and we jumped into his old Datsun 120Y and headed out all the way to Altona from Melbourne Uni. On the way, despite our manly bravado, I was becoming increasingly nervous at the prospect of climbing a vertical rock face of some considerable height. When we eventually got there and I saw this vertical wall of tiny little rocks, my fear was actually quite palpable. However, my good friend Dave, he continued to encourage me and reassure me that everything would be just fine. He was an experienced climber and he would look after me. As I climbed higher, I realized that Dave was actually acting as my belay. He held a rope that would act as my safety if I were to slip. Before I knew it, I was over 30 meters off the ground, and just as my euphoria was peaking, so was my fatigue. I realized I was unable to climb any further, so I called down to Dave and I asked him, "I don't think I have the energy to even come down. What should I do?" "Well, why don't you just let go of the wall and float down," he said. "Float down," I screamed. If I let go of this wall, I was going to fall down. I had forgotten that Dave's job as my belay was to support my weight if I had slipped. I had to trust that he could do his job. So let go I did, and as he said, I floated away from that rock face, suspended by the ropes that Dave was holding. That afternoon, I realized I really didn't have a fear of heights, but I actually had a fear of falling. That fear was overcome because of the trust I had in my friend. Quite often, when I meet a new patient for the first time, I remember my good friend Dave from uni days. I often act as a belay to our patients because of the trust they place in me. People often feel uncertain, concerned, or even fearful when they visit us. My team and I make sure they are safe when they are in our care. And this is one of the reasons why I feel privileged today, knowing that for a moment in people's busy lives, they place their trust in me.